All right, today we're going to YOLO this. I finished Ratchet & Clank in pretty much one sitting. Alec did it over a couple of days. This is interesting. One of us likes this. The other one doesn't really like this. This is interesting. I want to actually flesh this out. Let's talk about Ratchet & Clank Rifts Apart after the drop.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. All this and more.
Lots to unpack here.
A lot to unpack after the drop. So, first things first, we all know what Ratchet & Clank is, or you probably should know what Ratchet & Clank is. Think of Pixar, with a controller, in a lot of ways. I think it is a kid's game at heart, but I do think that it also has an adult appeal. I finished the 2016 version of the PlayStation 4 one, right?
Yeah, it was the remake.
The remake, right? I finished that a week and a half before I played Ratchet & Clank Rips Apart, just to kind of bring me up to speed with what to expect. I thoroughly enjoyed that, and I also thoroughly enjoyed Rips Apart. Now, I feel like this is a great representation of what to expect from PlayStation 5 in terms of graphically and SSD-wise what it can do. And also, it's just a fun 10 hours or 11 hours or whatever it is. So off the back of just before we get into it, I thought it was a pretty good experience, but you've had a different opinion on this.
Yeah, so look, the way I kind of want to approach my thoughts of this and how I want to frame
I
it.
want to approach my thoughts.
No, well, I think it's important because I think there is no doubt that I'd say it is objectively true that Ratchet & Clank, that Rift Apart, is an amazing game. I have never seen such an impressive spectacle. That opening sequence when you're in Megalopolis or whatever it is and you're doing that ceremony.
The optical course.
Just the draw distances of everything. The number of assets on the screen at any one time and the fidelity of those assets. How clear everything looks. It is just like nothing else I've ever seen. It is so beautiful. It is so imaginative. It is so well realized. It sounds incredible. Like, the production here is Insomniac. Like, you have to take your hat off to Insomniac.
With no crunch, apparently, which is good to hear,
Yeah.
And I think that one thing I think we were talking about is, you couldn't run this on PlayStation 4. There's some aspects to this.
Impossible.
The features of, being able to hit this big emerald thing and then the entire world will change in, a split second. You need that SSD power.
Yes.
This is a perfect example of why people in some camps say, I bought a PlayStation 5, give me a PlayStation 5 experience.
Yes.
And this is what they've done with that.
Yeah.
Now, as you've said also off camera, you're worried about God of War now because it's maybe not going to have that full realized SSD and graphical power.
That's what I wanted to say, yeah.
Yeah, when I see this game, I'm I can kind of see where people are creative, I can see where people are going with that creatively. They want that full expression, and this game really does deliver that. It's an incredible next-gen experience.
I think, not to get too hung up on it, but I think the last thing I'll say on that point is you cannot play Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart and still cling on to the idea that God of War being on the PS4 and the PS5 is not to the detriment of God of War, the sequel. The things that this machine can do with this SSD is incredible. And I simply do not believe that the artistic vision of God of War could not be in any way compromised by just that lower power. But yeah, what I will say, to positively frame it, if you want to see the real power of the PS5, particularly its SSD, then you must play this game. It is spectacular.
Definitely.
The way you instantly load into an entirely new world, it's like a Thanos snap. And
yes, it is.
And everything that was there is now something else. It's truly incredible.
It is incredible. Now, let's start with, we've already started really, but let's talk about the combat itself. You are playing this game for 10 hours. It feels very much, it's a slight improvement from the 2016 Ratchet & Clank in terms of, it feels like they've upgraded it maybe 5%. But I think they've gone back to the drawing board in terms of looking at what they had and thought, let's not fix something that's not broken. In terms of Ratchet & Clank is a kid's game in a lot of ways, in inverted commas. I didn't expect a lot from the combat originally, and it really just feels like they've just delivered the same thing. The only real difference here is you are getting different weapons. I loved the weapons from 2016 version. I was kind of hoping I saw like the sheepinator again. I don't know if that's the right word for it. Like you turn things into sheep, right?
Probably everything's a nader.
Yeah.
The Dimensionator.
All that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. Some of them, so look, I would have loved to see some of those come back, but every weapon you got, some of them were really unique. The problem, though, was ammo, man. Yeah. Ammo is a huge problem in this game. Regardless of how much you're enjoying combat, you cannot immerse yourself fully into the combat because every 3 minutes you're like, I'm out of ammo. And you go through this cascading, like, I'm using the best weapon, and you cascade down to the shittest weapon that you have.
Yeah.
True?
Yeah, so I had a really big problem in this game with ammo. It's not like I was missing shots. Like, I was hitting things. There's just not enough ammo. And so there's like a vendor at the start of every area that lets you buy weapons, and as you go through the game, the weapons obviously get more expensive.
Take care, hon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that lady. And you kind of like, there were moments where I really wanted to save my bolts, like the currency, to save up for a weapon that I really wanted, but I'd end up just buying some piece of shit I didn't care about, because one more weapon in your wheel is just more ammo. Like I had no ammo all the time. Like, there should have been at least one parry weapon that's just basic as with infinite ammo, maybe a cooldown. Because there were so many moments where I was fighting a boss and like I just couldn't look at the boss. I had to look around the environment for these ammo crates, and they do regenerate. But it doesn't give you ammo for everything. It'll just give you ammo for one of the weapons.
It would have been better like Mass Effect 2, for instance.
Or like a universal ammo.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you walk over ammo, you pretty much, it just does everything, right?
But so many times I would pick up ammo and I get 2 rounds of the worst weapon. The thing I didn't want to use. The grenade, like there's like a lobbing grenade.
That was annoying. It didn't work well. Especially when you're fighting something that's going left and right. Yeah. You can't hit it.
Or there'll be like flying enemies where, you obviously need to shoot them, and there's this thing called the Doom Glove, which lets you spawn these minions, and it's unbelievable. They run around the ground and they do heaps of stuff. But if I need to attack something in the sky, that's the last thing I need ammo for. And in those moments, I always got ammo for the glove. Yeah. So it definitely had a problem with ammo. Combat overall, however, look, I think it's very good. It's obviously very polished. Enemy variety it's a bit lacking, but
I did feel that too at times.
Yeah.
But then I came back to, like, I kept doubting myself when I was thinking that, because at some moments I'm like, I feel like every room or every world, I am in fact getting new and exciting enemies. But I don't know if they were just cloaked in different looks and really they were serving the same function.
Yeah.
You know what I mean by that? I felt like, in that regard, I never felt tired of the enemies, but I didn't feel like as I progressed, I was getting new, real challenges with that AI and with that kind of enemy. The enemies that you did actually have to fight.
Yeah, also another one of the problems I had with the combat is there's this really aggressive hit stun that when you take damage. The combat in Ratchet is really based around like constantly moving and the fluidity of it and, jumping over lasers and just you kind of want to keep moving all the time. When you take damage, you kind of fall on your ass, and it takes almost a second to get back into the action. I don't know, like it just kind of broke the momentum. It's not a deal breaker, but the flow of combat was affected in those moments, especially when the ability to move is so important, and then it was taken from underneath you. I don't know, I didn't really feel very powerful in Ratchet. But, I mean, maybe that was just my experience.
What do you think of the RPG elements in terms of, the RPG elements? Like, you're able to upgrade weapons and guns and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so the vendor that we spoke about before,
almost like a skill tree, I would say,
yeah,
within each weapon. It's pretty much identical to what the 2016 version was. You upgrade your gun to level 5. Every time you level it up, then you're able to kind of expand on the skill tree within each weapon. I found that really engaging.
I actually really liked it.
I was really excited to use weapons that I didn't really love, just to see what level 5 was like, because level 4 for the electricity gun, the lightning gun, was all good, but like level 5 really brought up to the next level, and I thought that was a really well executed thing that they've kept in the game.
I think the weapons in this game are amazing.
Yeah,
I really do. They all feel. Well, they don't even feel. They are so unique. They are so unique in how they operate, in how they let you manipulate the mobs. The weapons just feel great. They are, to go on to my point before about imagination, like Insomniac have this really great imagination. Like, I think there's how many weapons per wheel? There's like 10 weapons per wheel, and you can fill out 2 wheels. Like, there's so many weapons in this game.
Yeah.
They did a great job on that. So definitely need to praise them there.
What about story itself? Like, did you feel engaged at all? I mean, I just want to make a little bit of commentary around the story. Don't go in here thinking that it didn't have that quirky, witty, kind of both for kids and adults vibe in terms of the story and the cinematics that the 2016 version had. I felt like 2016 version's cinematics really felt like a Pixar movie where it was making me chuckle as an adult, and I thought that kids would find this funny too. This one doesn't really execute that same thing. A lot of the cinematics just feel like it's moving a story forward without having those quick comedy quips in it that gave it a lot of its DNA in 2016 for me. This feels like it's a lot more streamlined cinematically to get you from point A to point B, tell you what's happening in the story, and that's kind of it, you know? And I think that's kind of disappointing in a way that it didn't have that same comedic DNA that kind of Pixar movies have.
Look, I'm not gonna I don't think it's fair to sit here as, you know, I'm nearly 30 years old. Like, I can't come into this thinking that, you know, a Ratchet and Clank game is going to give me the most amazing, incredible, engaging narrative.
Well, like, Toy Story does that.
But
here's, you know,
this is my point.
What I mean. Like, you can get that.
Well, that's what I was saying. We were discussing off camera, and I said to Sam, the biggest issue I had with the Ratchet and Clank story is, I said that when you watch Toy Story, you can be 7 or 70 and really appreciate what it's doing. It's almost it's age agnostic. It doesn't really matter because it usually delivers. There's moments for kids, there's certainly moments for adults, and it really does a great job of just having that mesh together the entire way along. The problem with Ratchet and Clank for me, narratively, is that it feels more like Nickelodeon. It feels more like a Cartoon Network show. It feels like it is just for kids, and that's fine. Like, I'm an adult. Like, I'm not going to hold it against the game for doing that. It's obviously their creative choice. But yes, that is where I've taken probably the most issue with Ratchet and Clank, is that tonally, it just kind of feels, like a Nickelodeon TV show, and I'm just, obviously, I'm older than that, personally. Other people's mileage may vary. Some people love that shit at 50. Like, good, that's great, but that's what you're kind of getting here. But it didn't hook me, and I felt, whilst everything was beautifully animated, the voice work is incredible. It didn't. I was watching the cutscenes and I'm like, okay, like this is cool, this is cute.
Fair enough. Look, I mean, I understand what you're saying. There's definitely a dumbed down aspect to this, to what it was trying to deliver. Tonally, comically, in that regard. But one thing I will say is, aside from that, I really feel like Ratchet and Clank and Insomniac have come to the table here and thought, let's not fix anything that's not broken. In terms of, this is very much a similar experience to 2016. A lot of people are going to play this and go, wow, this is so new and different because there's a Rift aspect. Like, you can press R1 or L1 or whatever it is and like move, you know, quite fast to like the next platform, and it looks like things are changing, and you hit the emerald and like the whole world will change. That's very skin deep things. In reality, this is still very much the same to the 2016 version when you take out the SSD aspect. And some people might think, well, that's a lot of aspect. Again, it's more of an aesthetic aspect that doesn't DNA-wise change what Ratchet is. And at the core of it, it's still very much the same thing. Go in here thinking you're just going to get more of what you've played before. In a lot of ways, I don't think that they've tried to change a lot of what Ratchet is, and I think that's to its benefit, because Ratchet and Clank at its core is a good game, and they knew that, and they just wanted to expand a little bit on it. And I walked away when I saw the credits roll and thought this was just more of the 2016 version with a little bit more of an enhanced graphical and kind of feature in terms of SSD, you know, draped over it.
It's very polished.
The same thing.
It's extraordinarily polished. It is one of the most polished games I've ever played. unquestionably. The as I said earlier, you really have to take your hat off to Insomniac here. It's really a triumph what they've delivered. In a sentence, how would you say you enjoyed Rift Apart?
I would say that this is a good game.
Would you recommend it?
I would recommend it to a lot of people, especially if you've liked the previous Ratchets. You will get very much more of the same thing, but in a better package in some aspects. But it's pretty much the same. I would say that this is a job well done. I would give this a 2 to 2.5 ice cream scoops out of 3. It's a good game, well put together. Well, a great representation of what to expect from PS5's features in terms of SSD and graphical power. And I think that this is a great representation of what next gen's going to be.
Yeah, look, I would actually go a step further than that. So I was talking to Joel before. Joel's made.
I thought you didn't like this. We started this saying that you hated this.
No, I didn't hate this. Here's the thing.
You didn't like it.
No. So how I'm going to rate this game? What I'll say is I would give this game 3 ice cream scoops
out of 3.
But I'm lactose intolerant. So
that's good.
This game is unbelievable. You cannot deny. I was talking to Joel before, he's a mate of ours. I said to him, I don't really like it, but I'm pretty sure you're going to love it. This is unquestionably an amazing game. In almost every measurable component, it blows it out of the water. Maybe you could say it doesn't necessarily narratively, but it's kind of is and isn't for kids. But it's an absolute triumph. I just don't really like what it was doing. I didn't like the tone of it. It was a bit sort of juvenile for me. Not a slight to the game, but it's just not for me. I think it's incredible. It is a 100% must play on the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
If you have a PlayStation 5, you're probably planning on buying it anyway. But if you weren't, I would say you have to play this game.
Definitely. And look, I think it's going to come to the PS Plus collection in the next 12 months anyway. So
and probably PC in 3 years.
Yeah, whatever, right? So you're probably going to be able to play this probably pretty cheap in the next 12 months. But yeah, look, I mean, just to wrap up, it's a great experience. Definitely go and try it. I don't think you'll be disappointed regardless of what you would want. It's just a good game,
Well, yeah, so. I wasn't disappointed.
Well, it sounded like you didn't like it. No, especially when we were talking last night, you're like, bro, the combat, there was a few aspects that you didn't love.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say I'm necessarily disappointed. I don't think the game is a letdown. It's just not my... It's not my bag. It's not my bag, baby.
It's not your bag, baby. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to 2.5 ice cream scoops, lactose intolerant 3 ice cream scoops out of 3. We will see you guys over the weekend. We're going to do some more news. E3 coverage.
We got a big week ahead.
We are we're going to be very tired, especially in Australia. We're going to be getting up like 2 a.m. to bring the news to you guys. Look forward to it. See you next time.
See you then.
Laymen out.